Hi, I'm Dr. Marcia Sirota, and today I want to talk about anxiety and depression as it relates to the climate crisis, and especially in people in the Gen Z. I think that younger people these days are feeling a lot of frustration and despair, and it turns into anxiety and depression, and they start feeling like, why bother? Why bother having an advanced degree because the world is just crumbling into flames? Why bother having children because there won't be a future for them? Why bother building a career because, life is just a big dead end? And they're having so much despair, they just want to give up because the climate crisis is looming, and they seem to be the only group that is, as a group, taking it really seriously. And it's so sad and it's so unfortunate. I feel so bad for people in their 20s these days. When I was in my 20s, I certainly was concerned about the climate crisis, but it wasn't as dire as it is right now. And even though people weren't taking it seriously, it wasn't an imminent disaster. And I could enjoy my youth, I could enjoy my time, and I could build a future and build a life and not think that it would be directly affected by the climate crisis. Now today, people in their 20s are directly being affected by the climate crisis, and we are having clear evidence in the world right now that the climate is changing and how it's affecting a lot of different things, and it's going to get worse, of course. So what can young people do to avoid anxiety, depression, and especially hopelessness and despair in the face of the climate crisis? Well, I think the one most important thing that we can do is be a social activist. Take action, because when we feel helpless and hopeless, we want to give up, we want to just do nothing, and we just want to be unhappy and depressed. And that's an obvious reaction, and it's a natural reaction, and you shouldn't feel bad for having that reaction, because in the face of a looming climate crisis, it's perfectly understandable to feel that way. But giving up isn't going to change anything. And I think that today, younger people have strong voices and they have energy, and they're the ones who it really matters to. So they're the ones who really need to step up and take action. Now, obviously, we all need to speak out and take action. We all need to do our part. But if you're having despair, if you're a young person with real hopelessness and despair, one way to turn it around is to start doing things, is to take action and to organize and to, vote, make your opinions known. Don't say, why bother voting because the world is going downhill anyway. No, it's so important to vote, and to vote for the parties that take climate change seriously and who have a real platform on making changes for the better for our world. So we can use our ability to vote as a way to be social activists, and we can organize people, we can get out the vote, we can talk to people and show them what matters so that they start to become more politically involved. So being a social activist is a great way to feel less despairing and less hopeless in the face of climate change, anxiety, and depression and despair. We can take action, we can do more, and young people especially can take action and feel less hopeless. Because when we feel hopeless and we don't take action, obviously nothing is going to get better. However, when we do something, then we have a chance to make the world a better place. And I know it's very daunting, it's very upsetting, because so many politicians don't seem to care. And, they're just thinking about their selfish motives. They just want power and money. They're greedy and short-sighted. And they're not thinking about future generations. They're not thinking about their own children and grandchildren, unfortunately. And they're driving the world into a terrible catastrophe. But we have a chance to turn things around. And it's really up to, I think, the youth today who have the energy and the power and the ability to make things happen. And so if you are feeling despair, don't give up, fight, speak out, take action, do something to make the world a better place for yourself and your own future and for future generations. There's always something you can do, including mobilizing people to vote and to be politically engaged. And it's not only up to you, of course. We all need to take action. We all need to speak out. We all need to do our part. But if you are feeling despair, getting involved is a good way to combat that despair and also make a positive effect in the world. So it's a win-win. It will help you with your emotional issues, your depression, your anxiety, and your hopelessness, and it will also help the world. So that's why taking action is good on all fronts. And again, I'm not saying it's all up to you. It's really work for all of us to be engaged in. It's the most important work that we can all be engaged in, and we really need to drive that message home to our politicians so that they are not ignoring it. But if you are feeling despair, if you're a young person who's going like, why bother get a higher education? Why bother build a career? Why bother have a family? Because you feel so despairing, take action, and that might help you feel less hopeless, less overwhelmed, and more at least engaged and connected. And as well, you're going to be with like-minded people who are also working hard for the cause, and that might give you some hope, having, not feeling alone in the middle of this terribleness, that you have people who feel the same way as you do and who are working together with you. Again, having that sense of community is also a really good thing in terms of helping you with your sense of despair. So work with your community, with your peers to combat climate change and to wake people up, both the people who need to vote and get the governments to turn around and take this seriously, and as well making a difference for the world by getting the politicians to listen to you and to start doing things differently. So the cure to despair is action. The cure to hopelessness is joining together and speaking out and helping other people see the truth. And that's the way you are going to combat your climate anxiety and depression and feel better about your future, and also create a better future for yourself and the generations to come. I'm Dr. Marcia Sirota. Please stay tuned for more content on mental health and wellness. Speak to you soon.